incredible. And I really, you really gave me a great feeling when you came over to see me on Sunday. I think it was on Sunday, or maybe it was Saturday. There were 75,000 people, and you had a line around the block. Everybody wanted to meet you, and for you to take a break and make those poor people stand all those hours just to shake your hand. I mean, it was amazing that you came over to say hello to me. We met the night before for the first time, and I couldn't believe it, because I, too, with those zillion fans you have, it's a zillion and one. I'm the one that I would get in a line to say hello to you. Because I've been in this business 83 years. Yeah. Is this being televised?
It is.
It is?
I'm so honored.
No, come on.
I'm so honored.
But Jamie,
you've made such a mark on my life and such a mark on
you're too
pop
young.
culture.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You're too young.
I'm honored, man. You're going to make
but
me
Jamie,
cry.
You're too young. And you remember my shows?
So I have many questions.
About my shows?
Yes.
If I was
and about this mushroom cap.
Oh, boy.
Should I introduce you?
Introduce me.
I'm so honored that you're saying this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here with the legend of legends, the man who created what you see right now, my twisted mind. He got me in my formative years, probably from 4 to 11, 74 to 81. Him and his brother are responsible for really creating the Saturday morning and after school
and at night.
Programming block with psychedelic messages and really secret society messages that I'm going to ask you about. Put in, please welcome the very spry Sid Krofft. I'm honored.
No, come on. You're stealing my line. That was my opening. I'm excited to be
94.
Here. I'm 94 years old. I've been in this business, the only business I know, for 83 years. And what's really wacko for me and exciting, actually, because I still have my mind. I can remember all the great stories that I have to tell. I don't know, are we on a whole hour?
As long as we
even go. Oh shit, we'll be here for days. Okay, I got some wild stories to tell, because what the fans don't know is my fans are a little agey, because my first show was the Banana Splits.
Yes.
And, that was in the year 1800 almost. So I go back. As a matter of fact, we keep hearing about, this is the time of the year that we hear about presidents and more presidents and whatever. But, I was around when Lincoln was the president. That's how old I am. Okay, but when you say to your fans, because I know the zillion fans that you do have, they're a little younger, and I would like to say something about that. I did 26 television series, and
wow,
and I suggest that you all have a cell phone right now while you're watching the show, and you should be doing this almost every day anyway. But I would suggest that you call your grandma or your mom, and tell her, do you know Sid Krofft? Krofft. because I know I tripped them up with one of my shows.
100%.
Because maybe some of you know Land of the Lost, because there was a big movie made at Universal. Piece of shit. Okay, but I had
coming in hot.
Well, you know why? Because
Did they let you give a creative say?
No, it was so bizarre. And I'm the guy, when you say Sid and Marty, Marty did the business then.
Okay.
And I was the creative guy, So I always lived since I was 10 years old, in a psychedelic world. And when we got the opportunity to be on television, because I knew nothing, and my brother, who I brought out in 1958 to be my assistant, because I was a performer for 30 years. I'm a puppeteer. So, and I was the opening act for so many huge, huge stars. And the most explosive one for me was when Judy Garland was ready to go on her first national tour. I was asked to be her opening act. We played the Greek Theater here. We opened in Vegas at the Flamingo Hotel. Can you imagine a puppet act? That was all mafia. Talk about Kansas City.
What year was this?
57.
So you were 20 years old, and you're opening for
Judy Garland
at the Sands?
No, at the Flamingo.
At the Flamingo. How many? Like 3,000 seats.
No, the Flamingo, the showrooms only held maybe 750, The Desert Inn had just opened, and they were, I don't know, maybe 600.
Okay.
But it was all mafia, Las Vegas. In 1954, I played a nightclub in Kansas City, and it was mafia. All nightclubs were mafia. Also, I was in Kansas City in 1947. I came there as the world's youngest puppeteer in the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, when the Big Top, check this out, the Big Top held 15,000 people.
Wow.
So when we came to town, wherever you were, mostly one day, school would close, the banks would close, but God, I have so much knowledge or experience in this business because I've worn so many hats, and I ended up producing all the shows that I created, and
I got my first sponsor, my first legit sponsor, and it's underwear, and it's Sheath Underwear. Now, I didn't take them out before. Now, these are really interesting underwear. First of all, they smell really good. I mean, they don't smell good. That was gay. They do smell good, actually. They're soft. That's why I put it on my face. They're soft underwear. They're naturally cool. Okay? They're called Sheath Underwear. They've got this cool logo on them. And then their whole gimmick is that you put your donger, you put your stuff there, and then this is a to-do. I mean, then you put your tube in there. I don't know if you can see that. So your donger rests, your bits are in there, and your kibble is in there, and then it's literally like it gives you a nice little extra package there if you like that. If you're a person that wears jeans, and they got these cool colors, they're funky, and I'm gonna tell you something. Go to sheathunderwear.com. Use my promo code. I don't sleep in underwear, man. I usually sleep buck because I have sheets like this. Even these are pretty soft. Like I have bamboo sheets. These are pretty almost like them. That's pretty right on there. I would sleep on this if it was a sheet. And it's cool. Like naturally cool. I like to sleep exactly how. I don't like to wear underwear. I wore these to bed last night and I didn't feel like they were cutting off my circulation. I fell asleep. Like, this isn't me being a hoe. This is me believing. I believe in these underwear. Like, we just started our partnership, you know. In order for them to be my sponsor, I got to get views, you know. And I think that there's a lot of things that we have to do. But it's like, the algorithm is tough. But I love them. The brand, I haven't met the owner yet, but he's an upstart. It looks awesome. It's actually a very good product. You get a discount. You should try them. If you like underwear, if you like your packaged up, I would try them, man. They're fucking good. They're really good. Like, I'm not going to do anything that I don't try. You know what I'm saying? So, try them. Do it. Sheathunderwear.com. And promo code Jamie. See, I yawned in the middle of that. You couldn't do that on TV because it doesn't matter. Everyone knows everyone's a liar, and I'm not lying.
And the concepts, I always work with all the writers. But just to throw out a couple of shows that we did that you might be familiar with. After the Banana Splits, we had HR Pufnstuf.
Mm-hmm.
That's our Mickey Mouse,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or in a very small way. And then we did the Bugaloos and, you know, and Lidsville and Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
And Johnny and Scott are friends.
That's right. Oh, my God. So you remember
of course.
that. That is cool.
And you did the Land of the Lost and the Slee Stacks.
Scared the shit out of kids. Well, after shooting the first show of HR Pufnstuf.
What year was that?
1969.
Okay, so right when I was around being born, this is when you started coming into TV love.
And when we finished the first episode, which was on film, we shot it at Paramount Studios next to Lucy Arnaz. I mean, next to Lucy. Lucy Arnaz was her daughter that I had a little romantic moment with.
You did.
In my life.
But you were born in 1937?
Oh, 1929.
That's when you were born? The same year as my mother.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm 94 years old.
Okay.
Soon to be 95. And, okay.
So
I know I'm...
Arnaz, you said you had a little moment.
Well, yeah, you know...
You're starting to drool again when you talk about it.
Well, we don't want to get into...
Well, you brought it
up. So anyway, you know...
They're all dead, buddy. You could talk about anyone.
No, Lucy.
Lucy's
you know,
dead.
I have a show on Instagram every Sunday at 3:00 where I talk about the 30 years mostly, and I have a guest. I've asked you to come on, please, every Sunday at 3:00 Pacific, and boy, you're going to hear stories. I know you're a stand-up also. You wear many hats, too.
I do.
And I've worked with some of the most famous comedians on the planet, you know. And I also talk in circles, but it'll make sense because there's so much to tell you about.
I know.
Yeah.
By the way, just go with it.
Just go with it?
Yeah.
Okay. You know...
I'm going to have some questions, though.
No, have a question right now.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, do it.
Because, you know, I'm so sweet what you're saying. I mean, I don't think you realize the impact that you've had on my childhood and this business. You know what I mean? I don't think there's one person from Seth MacFarlane to Sam Simon to, I'm sure they all work with you, to all of the, the creative
Yeah,
Ren and Stimpy,
well, my career has been so.
Rick and Morty, they all owe homage to you.
Hey, thank you so much.
I mean, right? I think we're all born out of you.
Well, that's giving me an awful lot of credit, but I accept, the compliment. I thank you for that. I don't know, where it all came from. It really came from
Are you
starting
a hippie?
as a street performer.
Yeah, are you a hippie?
Oh, shit, I'm the original hippie.
Because it's funny, because I don't really realize how much of a hippie you are, but when you came into my place, you're like, this is cool, man. And you got this, but you're from Montreal.
I was born in Montreal.
Parlez-vous français?
Un peu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I played the Lido for a year in Paris and the Folies Bergère, and that's where it's experience of what we do in this business, because I started as a street performer. I did not come from a family that understood what the hell kind of a journey I was taking.
So you just started and went on the street with your puppets?
No, what really happened, we came to America from Canada. The whole family did. In 1938. And in Rhode Island, to a little island in Rhode Island, and we decided to stay a little longer that summer. We rented a house that was part of a big mansion right on the beach. It was $25 a month rent, and it was an Indian summer, and we decided to stay a little longer and not go back to Canada. It was our first time in America. And there was a huge hurricane. Mm-hmm. And everybody on our real long street, all mansions, and people live there a year, many, what do you call it? Oh, my God. I'm having a senior moment.
It happens. Biden brain.
Yeah.
Biden brain.
Is that what you call it?
I call it. But you are. Look how much more cognizant you are than Biden. You're 10 years older than Biden. 12.
Yeah.
And yours, Biden can't hang with you.
Well, I mean, he has a lot on his plate. A lot to think about, and...
Yeah, like, who to sniff?
Excuse me?
Who to sniff? He's a big sniffer.
Is he a sniffer?
Yes.
Wow, where did you hear that?
You just look at videos. He's always sniffing people when he takes pictures with them. He's a big sniffer.
Okay, if you say so. No.
You're not going to get canceled, Sid. You created this business.
I won't get canceled?
No, you won't. You're a legend.
Okay. But I know that I'm talking in circles. I start with a story and then wander into another.
But can I tell you, since COVID, I do the same thing.
Do you?
So you're 40 years older than me, 41. And I do the same thing, so it's not you. There's 5G towers. Do you believe in that stuff? Do you believe all electrical waves?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And did you have COVID?
No, I didn't.
Wow, God, you're amazing.
No, I didn't.
I've had it 3 times. So ever since all that, I'm here, but I'm like a little bit like,
Hey, no kissing, okay.
Not at all? Wait, let me just, I'm going to keep you focused, but you're not going off, you're amazing. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You've lived out here. You were a street performer. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, let me tell you how that all happened. After the hurricane, we had nothing but the clothes on our back. And we moved to Providence, and in an apartment that was $20
a month.
$20 a month.
$20 a month.
$20 a month.
$20 a month. What year was this?
1938.
Oh my
1930
God.
1938. Well, that was a lot of money. $20.
$20 a month.
And what really happened, Jamie, is that there was a couple that lived above us, and they were an Irish couple, and he had a job where he opened and closed the curtain at the beautiful, majestic theater in downtown Providence. And so he was making a living. My dad was not working, and we were almost, because of it, homeless, to try and scrape up just $20. There were 4 boys. Marty was a year old in 1938. He was born in 37. And that couple, they didn't have any kids, so they sort of adopted me because I was a pretty cool little kid. I had all these ideas at such a young age. And even in the hurricane, our teacher sent all the kids home, and I went with a little girl that I had eyes for in my class, went to her house, and her mother wouldn't let me in and said, you better go right home. And I didn't, because I was watching the trees come to life and roofs flying off buildings. It was 165-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah.
So you literally were.
I was a skinny little kid, so I really crawled home.
So you were in the hurricane of Rhode Island.
Of Rhode Island, which was, in those days they didn't keep records.
So what happened? You guys got through it?
No, we were the only family that made it. Everybody on our street, didn't make it.
Died?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We were the only ones, because my mom had the smarts to get the hell out, and all those mansions that up the street, they would send the servants out, or they'd come running out to try to. They thought it was so dangerous. For my mom tied me and Marty and my other brother to her, or would have flown away.
Tied to what?
Tied us to her as we crawled up the street.
In the hurricane?
In the hurricane.
Why didn't you stay in the basement?
There was no basement in our house. I mean, when we came back, there was just a hole. I mean, it took all those houses on that street.
Where were you crawling to?
Well, trying to get away, because in a hurricane, the ocean turns over and it becomes all dark, and it follows you like a wild animal, because it would raise, the water would raise, quickly, and that's why people drown. They went to the second floor. I don't know how we made it up to the end of the block. But
where did you go once you got to the end of the block?
There was a little candy store, and they lived in the back of the candy store. Yeah.
And the water didn't get there?
Yes, it did. We were soaking wet, and we went to the back of the candy store where they lived. And before you knew it, the water was pouring into the candy store, the ocean was. And so my mom, there was a big plate glass window in the front of the candy store. She threw a rocking chair through the glass. Well, we couldn't get out. She couldn't open the doors. But I'm wandering. No, I'm wandering,
fascinated by this.
But I'm wandering too much. And
I want to know how you got out of the candy store. She threw a plate, rocking glass and then you guys crawled out.
She took each one of us across this big highway which had a little hill on the other side, and she would
You got above ground.
yeah.
Higher ground.
And then there was a car that passed us on the street up there, and took us to the fire station. And the guy that was the old man that was driving the car, he already lost some of his family, so my mother took over and drove us all of us, because my mother was a doctor, general practitioner. Strong. So, she just at the fire station, there were already people injured. But this is not interesting. Okay, I got it. What to me, the most
that was really interesting.
It was the most interesting part of my life is I've always gone left, and I want to tell everybody out there, because everybody follows the leader, and everybody gets, on the right-hand side, and they don't take chances. And I always, that as long as I can remember being in this business, because I'm self-taught, and I just have gone left. And I tell everybody, take that chance, because when I came up with H.R. Pufnstuf and we finished the first show, it was so psychedelic, and it was just, even the title, people thought, HR was hand-rolled, and it was, and I thought...
I never knew that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. And when I looked at the first show, the first cut of it, I thought for sure my career is over, because little kids, 5, 6 years old, to take them into that world,
was it weed influenced?
Well, I'm always asked that.
Well,
and then at every we've been going to Comic-Con here in San Diego for 50 years when it first started.
When did it get big? Can I ask you that? When did it
blow
up?
Well, I don't remember, because the first time it was like 500 people, and now it's,
Do you know who James Gunn is?
Yeah.
So James Gunn used to live in my back house.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Brilliant mind. I did a movie with his brother, and his brother gave me 3 scripts, and all of them were different genres and all absolutely brilliant. So I was like, we got to make a movie together. And the first time so we became friends, the first time I ever saw Comic-Con was he went in 1999. And he's like, I'm going down there to trade comics. And I wasn't a comic guy. And he handed me a book called, oh my God, my brains. I'm having a mini senior moment.
It's contagious.
Yes.
Because I'm in this room.
The Watchmen. Have you ever seen
Oh, of course.
He gave me The Watchmen. He says, you're welcome. And he says, here's your intro into the world.
No way.
And I wasn't a comic guy. I wasn't in this. Yeah. And I couldn't put it down. So I never knew about Comic-Con until him, but he went down literally to like buy cool comics. But then somewhere Hollywood co-opted it. When did it become huge?
Every year we would do a panel, a 45-minute panel. The last 15 minutes would be Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always in that big theater. And don't forget, Comic-Con, kids didn't go. It was all adults. Yeah.
Collectors.
Collectors, and they got in costumes, And Comic-Con wasn't, I want a star's autograph. It was nothing like that, which is now all over the country. And, and they'll stand in line for 4 or 5 hours.
I didn't make them wait that long.
Huh?
I didn't make them wait that long.
Really?
I would give you a pass, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't make you wait that long.
Okay.
She said you
but
would wait.
but every year we would come back and they were standing. The theater was huge. They were standing against the walls because they grew up with all of my shows.
Yes.
So every year I would be so worried that there'd be nobody out there. How many, all we talked about was the television shows. We did Donnie Marie, the Brady Bunch Hour, Barbara Mandrell and the Mandrell Sisters, D.C. Follies. Yeah. Talk about presidents. That was Fred Willard was the bartender. Do you remember that?
Yes, Fred Willard.
And Reagan was the main character because it was a bar.
Those are all the puppets, right?
Life-size puppet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was a huge, huge hit for us. And Reagan, just to tell you a story, I got to tell you one story.
Tell me.
Yeah. The last day he was in office, he called. We were told by our assistant that the White House is calling. And I said to Marty, it's a joke, because the guys that did the voices for all those, and girls that did the voices for all those characters, spot on, said President Reagan is on the phone. And so we did take the call, and it really was him. And he said, every Friday night, I just want to let you know, everybody in the White House would watch D.C. Follies. And then on Monday, we'd all talk about it. And I said, I really apologize how we, portrayed him, because it was comedy, right? And so, and he said, no, I absolutely loved it. I said, well, I never allowed, a knife to be thrown into your body, or, we never did anything like that. But, oh my God.
What a call.
It was incredible. I did meet him through Tony Martin and Sid Charisse because I used to play the Coconut Grove here.
On Sunset?
No, the Coconut Grove was in the Ambassador Hotel, and in the 50s, it was all big dance band. And when you went to the Coconut Grove, even on a Tuesday night, you wore a tuxedo and the women wore gowns.
Do you miss how society used to be?
Well, I do, but, I moved with the time. And you have to do that. You can't say, well, back in the 40s. I was in vaudeville. I was in burlesque. I traveled with the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus as the world's youngest puppeteer in the Freak Show. It was the hardest life, but who would know that many years later we would make a movie about it? It was a movie of the week for NBC. See, we don't know where our paths are going to take us,
Mm-hmm.
And we think, why am I here? Why am I doing that? I'm a little kid, the circus. And it was frightening. It was just a frightening, you are allowed to call them in those days freaks. They not only did they not like each other, but I was not from their world. And so they weren't friendly to me. Yeah.
So like the bearded lady and the strongest man and the snake.
Yeah, but it was all real.
Boy.
It was all real in the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. There was one, I apologize, but there was one freak there that was the man without a face.
Oh, Jesus.
And he was born, and he protected me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, but he wore a mask, and when he took the mask off, I only looked once. Women would faint. I mean, he was born without eyebrows, eyelids. I mean, he had a slit for a mouth, 2 holes for his ears, and no construction. You know, his face was like, and two holes for his nose. It was frightening, but I can always hear his gentle voice in telling me, don't talk to that person or that. It was very dangerous working in the circus for a little kid. Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's so much to unpack there. So this man didn't have a face. Do you know the condition?
He was the man without a face. He was born that way.
So it literally just had the things that we have, but without all the appendages.
Yeah. No, it was like very scary.
But he had skin.
He did, yeah. But
he wore a mask because he would.
He wore a mask when they introduced him. All the freaks had their own stage. Our tent held 3,000 people because the circus would always be sold out. You know, the 2 performances they would do, the matinee and the evening show. And there were 1,800 performers. 1,800.
All of those living conditions.
And we traveled with 50 elephants, 150 horses. Can you imagine being in Kansas City and a giraffe? You saw a giraffe in Kansas.
No.
It was bigger than any, zoo in America. They travel with the strangest animals, a hippopotamus.
Oh my God. Which can be dangerous.
Yeah.
I have to ask you some questions. Wait, so the man without a face. Yeah. So you had the freak show, which they're called, I know.
50 cents. It cost 50 cents.
And what would his thing be? Would he take off his mask?
He would talk, and then he'd take his mask off, and women just passed out. And then I only saw him once.
Without it.
No, I never looked over there. People would scream. It was like Scream. I got to ask you a question.
Yes. But by the way, that was beautiful. That the most man was he was considered the biggest freak, but the most gentle soul.
He was incredible because there were different classes,
which makes sense
of people. The people that travel with the circus, we were not allowed to ever talk to the big top.
You were a sideshow?
Literally
a sideshow.
And we lived in our own world. Big Top was never allowed to even come to Sideshow. Sideshow, every class had their own cookhouse where they fed us the shittiest food.
I have a lot of questions, so I'm going to keep you focused, but I'd hate to rein you in because I love where you're going. So, how old were you?
15, just turning 16.
You got discovered on the street?
As a street performer?
Yeah, for the circus?
No, what happened was the first movie that I saw, if I got to the theater at 6 o'clock in the morning, the couple that lived upstairs, he opened and closed the curtain. He was a stage hand.
Yeah.
And he said, if you come backstage at 6 o'clock, I'm going to sneak you into the theater because it's the very first showing of The Wizard of Oz. I never saw a movie, never saw a full-length movie. I went to see serials, Flash Gordon,
That was your first movie?
That was the first
What
full-length.
year?
1939. And I knew that I'm 10 years old. I knew that I wanted to be in that world. I was too tall to be a munchkin. At that point. And then I knew there was something in that world that I wanted to explore. when I got older. And I was a very shy kid.
So how did you get discovered for the circus? This is incredible.
Okay, but now, a week later, that gentleman that opened and closed the curtain and sort of adopted me said, I have one ticket to the Vaudeville Theater, the Phase Theater, and I'm going to talk to your dad. Let him drop you off. Let him ask somebody to bring you into the theater. I never saw a live show. And that happened to the matinee on a Saturday. And at the opening of it, of the show, it was the Meglin Kiddies. Do you know who that was?
No.
They built the El Capitan Theater here for the Meglin Kiddies. It was this woman that found Shirley Temple and Jackie Coogan and Mickey Rooney when they were little kids. Wow. She discovered all, and they would perform here in Hollywood, and then they'd go on tour, and play vaudeville theaters for a week.
Okay.
So the second act, the stage went dark, and there was a suitcase. It had to be a kid standing behind the suitcase. Just the spotlight hit the suitcase, and the suitcase opened, and a clown, a marionette. I never saw a marionette. I thought it was a little person, peeked out of the side, and, the whole orchestra was kids, too. I don't know, the cast was maybe 75, 100 people in that show. It was like Busby Berkeley. So the clown peeked out, he got up on top of the suitcase, and he blew up a balloon, and the balloon broke, and the clown became real sad, and I started to cry. But real loud, and the whole audience screamed, shut up, or whatever and the ushers came down, and I cried louder and louder for this clown. It just affected me. 10 years old, right? And then the ushers came down and said to the couple that brought me in, is this your kid? And they said, no. And then threw me out of the theater. I didn't see the whole act. So I'm waiting for my dad in front of the theater. And I was still crying for that. I thought it was a little man because you couldn't really see the strings. But a kid was operating. It had to be a kid because the whole show was kid, with just the spotlight on the clown. And then people would walk by and say, where's your mom? Where's your dad? Should we call the police? Why? And I couldn't even answer. There was a kid that lived on my street that had the first Superman comic book.
Oh, my God.
And every day we could read, but every day we would look at the pictures in this comic book.
Where's that at?
The kid has it.
Where's that kid at?
Yeah, I know. Probably not on our planet anymore.
Well, I mean, come on. Where's the book? That's
okay, but listen to this. In the back of the book, we never looked at the back. There was an ad for a marionette.
Okay.
$3.95. I went to my dad and I said, can I get that? And he never hit me, but he was close. He said, $3.95, that would feed your family for a month.
Yeah.
And you're a boy and you want a dolly?
Mm-hmm.
I never forgot that because years later in 1955, I did a command performance for the Queen. It was a big show. It was 100-star, night of 100 stars in London at the Palladium. And she came back. We all lined up after the 5-hour show. It was her charity. And she was very young in 55. And so she had a lady in waiting behind her who told her who everybody is. I could use that lady right now because I have a hard time with people's names. And when she got to me, she said, "What cute little dollies." And I heard my dad, and I almost gave her the finger. I was,
You're 26.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be here in this magical room with you.
If you didn't have dogs.
I'd be in the Bastille. No, in the dungeon, right? If I did this to the Queen.
I'm glad you didn't.
No.
I want to go back. How did you get to the circus?
Okay. Now, I send away in that book, too, in the comic book.
You order it.
There was an ad next to the ad to the puppets. If you send away for a box of